Hey guys, Jonathan Fioramonte here, and I'm about to take you on a really quick tour of the prologue to the book of Proverbs. So here we go. Buckle up. So as an introduction, the prologue to the book of Proverbs introduces the reader to its theme of wisdom and the general purpose of the entire book of Proverbs, that is, to pass on wisdom by instruction. According to the prologue, wisdom is manifested in many ways, as the prologue outlines. But it must have its source in the fear of the Lord, which is the beginning of all wisdom. This prologue anticipates and represents the entire book of Proverbs. Essentially, the prologue clarifies what wisdom is, how it is transmitted, and reveals its source in God. Now, for a short explanation of the passage itself. Proverbs 1 through 7, as the introductory prologue to Proverbs, is somewhat of a model and guide for the entire book of Proverbs. It outlines the more specific themes of wisdom and the means of education towards wisdom and virtue. The preface outlines the type of education the book contains and states the purpose of the editor to provide a textbook which would serve for the intellectual awakening and moral training of youth, and which at the same time the educated man might study with profit. The theme of wisdom is presented in the prologue in a more general and prosaic form than appears in the rest of the book of Proverbs. Wisdom, as the main theme of the prologue, is living well in and through God's own wisdom and instruction, which ensures the validity and success of the entire wisdom program, which is unpacked in the rest of Proverbs. This is the general theological aim of the book of Proverbs, which is encompassed and explained in the prologue itself. Now for a more detailed analysis. Verse 1 starts out, the Proverbs of Solomon. Now a proverb is explained as a riddle or enigma that explains to a deeper meaning, often by way of moral instruction or exhortation or wisdom for the living of life. Here the author is giving us the type of instruction that this book will give to its reader. Verse 2, that men may know wisdom and instruction. Okay, these two big words, wisdom and instruction, explain what the Proverbs will be concerned with. Wisdom being simply defined as a reasoned search for well-being in everyday life amidst adversity and given for successive generations. And instruction, which denotes an active seeking to wisdom's attainment, primarily through a teacher as God's representative. Now, interestingly, verse 3 speaks of the motivations of seeking wisdom and instruction, and these are given as the relational virtues of righteousness, justice, and equity. This shows that the success of the wisdom program is not personal success, but the elements of a healthy community life. The next two verses of the prologue explain who wisdom is for. Wisdom is for the simple, the youth, the wise man, and the man of understanding. In other words, wisdom is for everybody. The final verse of the prologue, verse 7, contains the model to the entire book of Proverbs and the key to attaining wisdom through instruction. The fear of the Lord is the beginning of knowledge. Fear of the Lord contains within it the whole Israelite theory of knowledge. Also, fear in this context means reverence rather than terror, or to hold the Lord in awe, as a positive religious attitude. There is also a paradox in using the word fear, since fear of the Lord is the only form of security that this life ultimately holds. This concept of fear is tied to Christian humility and recognition of man as he truly is. Thanks, guys. Merry Christmas. God bless.